guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this really entertaining post, which is titled, Why Men Don't Want to Wife Up Sluts. And guys, this article, or this post, comes from the platform Substack, and the writer of this is a guy named John Hawkins. And this guy has, what I quick looked over, a pretty sizable following. And this whole post he does really addresses the obvious reason why men don't want to get involved with gals who, have quite the history, quite the number, go through hose phases and all that. And initially it starts off because he's responding to another post from another Substack account where a gal kind of talks about that whole thing. And it's really interesting here. And also he knows different women who don't quite get these things as well. And I like going over things like this where articles come about where other guys see how I see things, how you guys see things and all that, and it gives a dose of reality. And this whole thing he does here, what he goes over, definitely is not something that your average modern, empowered gal, stunning and brave, all that, is going to like too much. So, of course, I have to cover it because it's pretty darn good. And I think at the end, you'll appreciate it. But before I get into this article, I have to cover the idiot of the day. And this gal here, she is obviously recently divorced, as you're going to see, and she's sounding off about her ex-husband. He's no good, and he was giving her some serious truth that she doesn't like too much, and of course is ranting and raving. And it's a classic example of the mad ex-wife who puts all the blame on the guy. The guys are all worthless and everything, and never any accountability for her, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Check this out.
After leaving my kid's dad and divorcing him, a few days ago he told me that I'm going to start losing value as I age and that men are going to just go after younger women.
Yeah.
Disgusting. And that men are more established and financially stable, and that just really pissed me off because most women, especially when they divorce or they leave their kid's father, the only reason that they're not as established is because they were left catering to the household and putting everybody else before them. And so I just want to say, if you're a man with this mentality, fuck you.
Language, kitten, language. So do you really expect us all to believe that your ex was 100% the bad guy, never did anything right, and you were absolutely 100% perfect all the time? That's nonsense. And yet this is the BS that goes out there. It's always anytime you talk about an ex to an angry girlfriend, former girlfriend, ex-wife, it's always the same thing. He never does anything, and everything worked because of them, and he's the villain and did all these things and blah, blah, blah. Right here, no different. So anyhow, there you go. No wonder guys aren't getting married and avoiding relationships like the plague. This is what you get. But anyhow, on to the main event here. And again, that title was, Why Men Don't Want to Wife Up Sluts. He says here, yesterday I came across an entertaining Substack post from a woman that I'd never read before, who basically said she was a SLUT, who slept with a guy that she really liked and who really seemed to like her. She generally seemed puzzled as to why that man slept with her, but still saw her as nothing but a short-term fling. It was an interesting question, so it seemed worth going into in detail. But first, here's an excerpt from her piece. Okay, like he said, this woman wrote this thing and she went out with this guy, and I read her thing, by the way, and she admitted to him that she's kind of an SLUT, and she's puzzled because he doesn't want to date her. Now here's, like he said, an excerpt of what she says. She says from her post, the date was lovely. He shared that he's looking for a relationship, and I shared I try to date without expectations, but that I'd be ready for something long-term if the right person came along. We talked about self-growth and religion and politics and my job, and what my job would look like if I was in a relationship. After 2 glasses of wine, he invited me to see his rooftop and later his apartment. Eventually we were kissing on his couch. He said to me, just so you know, I didn't expect this, he told me nervously. Oh, I said. I pulled back, unsure what he meant. We definitely don't have to keep going. We can stop, he said. I've been that person on the other side of an icky hookup where you don't feel comfortable and don't know how to get out of it. I would never want to put someone in that position. And I especially wouldn't want someone to feel like because I'm a SCX writer, I always expect SCX or something. Does that make sense? Anyway, I started stressing. No, he laughed with ease and reassured me I want to. Okay, I replied, we don't have to go further, whatever you want. It turns out that SCX is what he wanted, as did I. He asked for my consent before grabbing a condom, and I double-checked that he was sure he wanted to before putting it on. And it was all well and kosher. and it felt great. I can't believe I broke my no SCX rule on the first date, he said as we cuddled naked. So he's the one with the rule, but not her. Long pause, some back scratches, deep breaths. My eyes began to flutter in and out of sleep. Do you ever juggle multiple guys at once? He asked as my eyes fled open. No, I replied. Honestly, I wish I could, but I tend to get wrapped up in one person. He couldn't believe how honest I was being. So she wanted to juggle lots of guys. Now we're getting to the good part. He seemed somewhat satisfied by my answer, but my mouth didn't feel like shutting up. I'm a little slutty, I said. Is that something you're okay with? For a hookup, but not for a relationship. Yeah, not a good thing to say. And by the way, he's hooking up with a girl to the first date. Ain't relationship material. I think so, he responded. Looking back, I'm not sure if he was being honest. I woke up the next morning to a cheeky text from him. I was excited. I had some weird feelings about our post-coital conversation, but I was still interested in getting to know him. He was the boy who asked me out when my hair wasn't done, remember? We texted throughout the day, and I eventually asked if he wanted to get together next week. To be transparent, he said, I don't see us being a long-term fit. And that's what I'm looking for right now. Long-term fit, that effed me up, she says. I felt more bummed than I'd like to admit. Not even because of any feelings towards him, we really had just met, but because of feelings I was having towards myself. Would I always be the girl you break your no SCX on the first real date for, but not the girl who's a long-term fit? Would I always be someone you see tonight with, just not a future with? Why can't an SLT also be a wife, she asks. So that's her thing, and our guy's going to respond, but right there. This is what I tell you guys. First date, if she hooks up with you, okay, that's fun. Ain't girlfriend material. She openly admits she's that way. You behave that way, it's going to turn guys up. They'll hook up with you, but relationship-wise, because they're going to think she must do this with every guy. What the hell's her number? All that type of thing. Seriously. Now our guy continues his analysis here. He says here, as I noted, I hadn't run across this author before, and I was looking at her work more to write this piece. I know she writes a Substack called Railed, more like she be nailed, where she says, I care a lot about normalizing the experiences young women are going through today and alleviating the shame we feel around SCX. Railed is a place to celebrate the complicated world of being a sexual woman. It's a place to cry over crushes and laugh about sex, plan your wedding one day, and have your organs rearranged the next. That quip reminds me of a conversation I once had with another woman who was heavily involved with writing about sex. We were just acquaintances, but I said something like this to her. So, you're always complaining that you're single, but you literally run blowjob classes for other women. Don't you think those two things are related? She assured me they weren't, and I didn't know her well enough to push the subject, so I just let it go. This chick he knows he's acquainted with does BJ classes, and she's complaining I was being single. I don't know about you guys, but maybe that's for a hookup. But beyond that relationship with the gal who teaches BJ classes, yeah, no thanks. Imagine introducing that to your mom or any of your friends. Oh, how'd you all meet? What do you do for a living? Oh, well, I teach BJ classes. So let's talk about this a bit. First of all, men are very different than women, but guys are also fairly simple creatures. Here are the fundamentals, ladies. Now here he is, breaking it down. The ugly truth. If a man sees you as a potential match, is attracted to you, you feed him, seem to want to take care of him, you're a good mom, if you have kids, have good SCX with him, are nice to him, he enjoys talking to you, and you generally seem to think he's great, he will think he's the luckiest guy on earth. The great thing about all this is that it's mostly under your control. There you go. That's not a whole lot. Notice what he said there has nothing to do with income or job title or resources or degrees or all these other things that are so important to them but not to us. Yes, you might have to dress up and have some open conversations about what the two of you like in bed, but that's a doable list. Being 6'4" or making $500,000 a year to get some woman's attention may be outside a man's control. But if a man considers a woman relationship material, she's probably capable of locking him in if she wants to. Of course, like everything else in life, there is some nuance involved here. For one thing, good SCX is a key part of a good relationship. But, unlike a lot of women, men are also generally very comfortable with the idea of having SCX outside of relationships. A lot of men can enjoy SCX with women that they just met, women they know that they'll never see again, or even women they don't even like as human beings. Well, I can say this, absolute guys, I could never hook up with a chick that I couldn't stand. There are guys that would bang a chick because she's good looking, great body and all that, but they can't stand her, but they're going to do it anyway. No fucking way. If she's an asshole or annoying, I've never been that able to do that. I've known guys that could. Men have a biological drive toward SCX, the same way, for example, a lot of dogs have biological drive toward prey. The second my dog sees a cat, she wants to chase it. If she catches up to the cat, she doesn't know what to do. But she does know she wants to run so she can have the fun of running after it. It's an innate drive for her, and most men have that same kind of innate drive around SCX, even though most of us have never had the opportunity to fully express it. What about when men do have the opportunity? That's when you see, for example, ancient male leaders with harems. People like Tiger Woods, supposedly having you-know-what with over 100 women on tour, even though he has a swimsuit model wife at home. Wilt Chamberlain and Motley Crue allegedly sleeping with thousands of women, and Genghis Khan reportedly being the ancestor of 1 in 12 men in Asia. How about that? I've heard that before. That's something. The number of women most men would theoretically be interested in having SCX with is titanic, but wanting to have SCX with a woman doesn't mean they want to have a relationship with that same woman. So as I said, guys, most guys will bang anything as long as it's under a certain weight and she's hygienic, has brushed her teeth that day and has bathed within 24 hours, and as long as their buddies don't see her. But then going into a relationship with, and a lot of guys will put their D in crazy or a D in a gal that has a high number, but at your own risk. For example, all other things being equal, just about every man would prefer a virgin to a woman with, say, 50 previous partners. Why? Well, in a man's book, being promiscuous is a huge negative in a woman that you're interested in long-term for reasons great and small, fair and unfair. Like what? Well, first and foremost, the traditional concern is that if she's sleeping around, how do you know your child is yours? Ding, ding, ding. I can't imagine how many kids out there aren't the fathers. The last thing any man wants to do is get cucked and end up spending his life raising a child some other man impregnated his wife with right under his nose. Along similar lines, the more a woman has slept around, the more likely it is that she may cheat. It's also very likely that she can't pair bond, and science has proven that. After all, unless you're the absolute peak of the pyramid for men, having SCX requires a lot of effort and work. For women, not so much. She'll have easy opportunities every day of the week, probably multiple times per day, and if she feels comfortable sleeping around, can you trust her? It is so easy for a woman. I mean, just an average chick in her 20s can get guys to sleep with her. It's not a problem. And even if guys in the 20s wouldn't necessarily go for her, guys that are older, 30s and 40s with a 20-something who's just okay looking, to them, because she's 20 years younger, no problem. It's easy. For them, no problem. Unless they're really fucking weird. But for an average guy, no freaking way. Even a good-looking guy, it's not as easy as it would be just for an average girl. How easy is it? Well, once I remember talking to a female friend of mine who had moved to another city, was lonely, and she complained to me that she just needed to get laid. Oh, for God's sakes. I laughed at her over the phone and told her something like this. All you have to do is dress up, go to a hotel bar, look for any attractive single man, sit next to him, and talk to him for 5 minutes. Then ask him to take him to your room. You'll be having SCX 5 minutes after. It's that easy, and it is for women. That pretty much sums it up. How many guys watching this right now, if you're honest with yourselves, if you were at a bar or somewhere out and a pretty girl chatted you up and 5 minutes later said they want to go hook up, how many of you guys would do that? Or at least at some point in your life would have done that? You may be thinking something's up, but if it seemed genuine, come on here. We can go on. Promiscuous women are statistically less likely to stay married. Well, my channel's proven that. You also have to think they probably aren't going to be as satisfied in bed if they're comparing you to a large number of men. Well, Brett has an amazing 8-pack. Jimmy has really hung you-know-what. Paul could go on forever. And Todd did that really cool thing with his tongue. So how good is this compared to those guys? Furthermore, it's natural for men to want large number of female partners, but not so much for women, which usually means women who sleep around have issues. How many mentally healthy, happy women are racking up truly large numbers of guys? Not many. Yeah, exactly. Of course, we can go even deeper into the weeds of the male psyche. A lot of men look at promiscuous women as dirty or trashy. Is that fair? Maybe not, but they do. At a minimum, they're certainly more likely to have STDs. If you're talking about women who've been in profession society looks down upon, like prostitutes, strippers, or OnlyFans models, do you really want to explain to your family that you're wifing a woman like that? Not really. Would you want a woman who your friends have slept with or seen naked? Again, no. Worse yet, would you want your kids hearing, your mama was an OnlyFans model, I've seen her naked at school? No way. Right there. All what he said. This is all stuff that I've talked about that you guys I know think it's just pretty obvious. But these are truth bombs that a lot of the gals lose their mind over. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, all these gals that got on OnlyFans that started really hard around 2020 because there's nothing else to do. The pandemic and all, and has continued this. And if they get off, it only did it for a year. And eventually some dumbass is going to marry them, have kids. 15 years from now, kids are smart. They're going to figure it out. That's your mom there. I'm telling you now. How about the idea now considered archaic by a lot of people that SCX is supposed to be special? A lot of people will practically laugh at that idea, but show me a man or woman who've never slept with anybody else but each other, and they're not laughing at all. Last but not least, who wants to be the guy who has to wife a woman up to get her in bed when she has slept with 40 other guys just because she's attracted to them? If you're a man, what does this say about you and you had to promise her, for better or worse, rich or poor, and sickness and health, until death do us part, to get the same thing they did by smiling at her and buying her a beer? Right. In other words, she settles with the nice guy when she's done with or taking a break from the hose phase. Right. Is being an SLUT a hard no? Well, for some guys. I'd say most guys. It absolutely is, and a significant percentage of the guys who don't see it that way tend to be sleazy simps. Sleazy simps are generally the sort of guy most women don't find attractive. Even if you find a good guy who doesn't consider it an automatic rejection, it's definitely heavy baggage. Does heavy baggage always mean no thanks? No, but the heavier a woman's baggage, the less likely it is the guy is going to sign on to carry it long term. That was perfect. Dead on. I can see where this guy has a massive following. So like I said, guys, if you don't follow him, again, I'm going to give this guy credit here because this is fucking good. Substack, named John Hawkins, Hawkins. John Hawkins, good. Not John Hopkins like the fucking hospital. John Hawkins, like in Predator. Hawkins, the guy with the fucking comic books. Anyhow, there you go, guys. I couldn't have said it better myself. And yet, when guys talk about this and drop these truth bombs, they are considered to be the root of all evil. How dare they? But again, I've been doing this on YouTube 6 years. I think I booked the channel literally like 6 years ago. My first video was on Valentine's Day 2020, which was a shitty video, and I deleted. And the videos afterwards were shitty until I finally started doing them right. 6 years. Thousands and thousands of stories between all my channels, and you see a pattern with the guys that get involved with, date, relationship, and marry, gals like he talks about here, the ones that self-proclaimed SLUTSs or ones in the hose phase or whatever. doesn't end too well for them. So you can't blame guys for saying, no thanks. And yeah, you can shake your head saying, well, they're sleeping with them, but they're not wifing them up. Well, that's just guys being pigs. And frankly, I think it's a bad idea to do that anyway. But that being said, some serious truth bombs, but I thought it'd be a good one to cover here. So, I'd like to hear what you guys have to think about this whole thing. And, do you guys have women that you talk to, girls you're friends with, your sisters, your cousins, female coworkers? I wouldn't talk about this shit with your coworkers. Stop. Don't do that. How's that go? How's that conversation go? I'd like to hear about it in the comments section. I'm pretty sure your opinions aren't too popular. All right, guys, that's it for today. Again, be sure to comment down below. I said that. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.